Former Eskom CEO Andre de Ruyter has refused to name the politicians alleged to be involved in corruption at the utility. In fact, de Ruyter claims a cabinet minister allegedly told him to, quote, allow people to eat. The former Eskom CEO is appearing in virtually before the Standing Committee on Public Accounts, that's SCOPA. That's today. Reporter Heidi Giokos is standing by and has been following proceedings and joins us live for an update. Heidi, a warm welcome to today. I mean, why can't Andre de Ruyter name the minister?
So, William, it appears as though Andre de Ruyter says there is a huge security risk should he name the minister. Let's just contextualize this here. You have Andre de Ruyter having an explosive interview with our colleague eNCA a few weeks ago, where he speaks about the extensive corruption at the power utility. He speaks about how basically the rolling blackouts that's being implemented is almost done on purpose. But he goes on to identify, or rather name, corruption which involves a minister. What's interesting, though, is that he almost changed his tune, appearing before SCOPA today, saying that he never said it was a minister. He said it was a high-ranking politician. And SCOPA asking him, what is a high-ranking politician? What is the difference here between a high-ranking politician and a minister? However, South Africans are none the wiser, neither is SCOPA, the Standing Committee on Public Accounts, because Andre de Ruyter refused to name the actual identity and give the identity of this high-ranking politician, claiming that he has given it to law enforcement agencies, including the Hawks and the South African Police Service, as well as the Minister of Public Enterprises, Pravin Gordhan, who is the shareholder of the power utility. He says he's given it to all of these individuals and these entities, and it's up to them to take the matter forward. Let's listen to what de Ruyter told SCOPA today.
At this point in time, Honourable Hadebe, I don't think that it is in the interests of the oversight role of SCOPA and the nature of the engagement that I disclose this today. I don't think it is a critical element that is important, and I therefore propose that we move on, and that I do not disclose the identity of this minister, because I don't think that it is required for us to enhance, as the Honourable Chairman said, the sole purpose is to look at the potential misuse of public funds, and therefore I would not want to elaborate on that at this point in time.
Now, he also spoke about, Heidi, the challenges he faces as the CEO. What details can you give us?
Yes, certainly. So one must remember that Andre de Ruyter was appointed as Eskom CEO back in 2019, of course, taking over a power utility with many challenges. But as a CEO, he himself faced many challenges. He spoke about the fact that he would need to make decisions as a CEO, but he wouldn't be allowed to do so. There would be board meetings without his presence as the Eskom CEO. We also do know, William, that Andre de Ruyter did indicate that he was possibly poisoned, that his coffee mug was laced with poison. So he has, of course, been under some sort of attack. And we do know that Andre de Ruyter has been at pains, this is what he has told us throughout his tenure as the CEO, to try and deal with corruption and bring an end to what he says was sabotage and, of course, corruption. He's spoken about these coal mafias. He's spoken about presidential cartels that have been underway at the power utility. It's very difficult to really understand the extent of this when he's not really willing to provide this sort of information to SCOPA. But let's listen to what he had to say about the challenges he faced as an Eskom CEO.
Yes, it did. It certainly made my life quite challenging. Meetings were held with subordinates of mine without my knowledge, and instructions were given, and this did make my life difficult, and I experienced that as disempowering. I know certain of my colleagues on the executive committee had similar experiences. I would direct you to also engage with them to the extent that this is something that you wish to investigate further. But I think that the executive are the people who should run the company and should be held to account by the oversight of the board, and certainly the advice that we have received also from the top corporate governance experts in South Africa. So yes, the engaged board did play a role in my finding, in my position.
That's former Eskom CEO Andre de Ruyter appearing before Scopa today. Obviously, Heidi, there's a lot of questions around social media. There's a conversation going as well. But as just the official news, I mean, why wasn't his location disclosed of where he was appearing virtually?
That's the million-dollar question, William. And it appears as though he opted not to appear physically before Scopa today. And this might have to do with the possible threats on his life. He, of course, really lifted the lid or attempted to lift the lid on what was going on at Eskom. And this is possibly the reason why he decided not to have his location disclosed. What's also important here is that Scopa is planning on possibly calling Andre de Ruyter back before Scopa, before Parliament, because they still feel as though he has a lot to answer to, as they did not get sufficient answers from him. Whether or not that's going to be physical, we'll just have to wait and see, but I highly doubt it. It's obviously got to do with the safety of his life.
eNCA reporter, thank you so much, Heidi Giokos, for that in-depth reporting on that former Eskom CEO Andre de Ruyter story.